On his debut, Jarno Opmeer wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ronhard takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Around the outside operated line shadow is contact again. Ronhard is around.
Bethany, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Hello everybody and welcome along to WOR World Online Racing League. This is the PC Tier 2 platform and we head to Paul Ricard for round number 13 for the French Grand Prix. First used in Formula 1 back in 1971. Took a bit of a hiatus for a while, but we are back and we had a race in 2018 to kick off the hybrid era with Lewis Hamilton winning that one. My name is Jess Ball and joining me in the commentary box once again is of course Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening, Jess. Good evening to everyone that is watching. Really looking forward to this race. I think it's one of those where, up until the last race that we saw in 2021, it was in the category, like a lot of circuits on this game, fantastic in league racing, pretty terrible in real life. We saw, though, in 2021, an absolutely superb race around here. I'm hoping for some great performances tonight. It is still a track where the alternate strategy can work extremely well indeed, and it is a track where we could see not the Drivers' Championship getting decided tonight, but it's looking very likely, because of how the situation has worked out with Tier 1, that we could see the Constructors decided.
Yes, with Morgan Ball and Drake Dempsey doing very well in the McLarens, them being able to clinch the Constructors' Championship if they score a decent amount of points here tonight as well. But it's shown in WOR that anything can happen, to be honest, as well. We will go through your Constructors and Drivers' Championship later on as we have a lobby restart as per usual. So it's looking quite overcast at the moment here for the French Grand Prix, and I will get my things set up just a second as well. There has been a few moments in the French Grand Prix as well where we've seen first lap crashes. Remember in 1989 in Paul Ricard, we saw Mauricio Gurman in the Leighton House car who locked his brakes and hit the back of Thierry Bolson's Williams, and then the Leighton House car ended up upside down on Nigel Mansell's Ferrari and the race had to be restarted. So it was quite a bit of a interesting predicament, not gonna lie, but we will see how the drivers will fare tonight with this track. So strategy, like we said, should be a one-stop race, but I know that the weather could be quite unpredictable at times, as I found out a few weeks ago when I've commentated on a France race. And we saw in Tier 1 in Q1, the rain came down quite early and not many people were able to get a lap. So we're on the track right now. We've got a few reserves here tonight as well. And Lenny Pipinta, as Luke just mentioned, is not here tonight. He is racing in Tier 1. Wish those guys the best of luck here as well. But that's going to make the Drivers' Championship even more interesting, because this could be a chance for Drake Dempsey and Morgan Ball to capitalise on a few absentees tonight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, realistically, it is between those three at the top of the championship. Leonard is still mathematically in there, and who knows, he puts in a good performance tonight. He could get himself right back into things, but it's Lenny Pipinta on 147 points, Morgan Ball, last week's race winner, on 128, and Drake Dempsey on 120. So definitely a chance for the McLarens to really catch up tonight. The McLaren need to outscore Mercedes by 14 points. So, a 1-2 or even a 1-3 would be good enough for the McLaren team. And Drake Dempsey, first man to go fastest then on a 128.4. And I do find it interesting now just how much things have changed on this game with the tyre strategies, because on the last game, you've seen a lot more cars attempting to do laps on the medium tyres. Only Andrew Kovapi, the only driver in his Alpha Tauri, deciding to go out on a set of the mediums this time out. I wonder whether everyone going out on a set of softs means we could see some weather at the early part of the race.
Yes, only one driver has gone on the medium tyres, and don't forget these drivers only have one set of the medium tyres during qualifying, as Matthew Roberts in the Alpine tonight usually goes in Xbox Tier 1, so great to see him in PC as well. Another Xbox veteran moving over to the PC side, which is great to see. A few more people going up to the line. I think we've got Matthew's teammate Jay, who's back in the Alpine tonight after a few wheel issues, but he's fixed them. He's got some new pedals as well, and he's back racing in action as well. So, like to wish him the best of luck as he comes up to the line, which is a long straight actually up to the line as well. It's caught me out a few times on this game. A 129.177, but he's still got more time to find too. We have got an Alfa Romeo who's been doing quite well this season of Leonard. He's just finished his lap and he's invalidated, but I'm almost certain if it's going to be any weather affected changes that you'll probably get to go again. We've also got Peso on a lap right now. He's also followed by his teammate for tonight, which is Andrew Corpy. I believe he's new. I might be wrong as he goes into the pits. Actually, as Peso, he goes up to the line then. Full power then, going into 7th gear, and it's a 142.6. So I'm guessing this is his first proper lap. A tyre warm-up, it seems to be a big factor, it seems, around this track because it's quite overcast.
Yeah, I think it's one of those tracks where you don't want to do 2 laps on a set of soft tyres. Certainly not when we get towards, the real point of qualifying, presuming it's going to be a dry start to the race a bit later on. You don't want to be doing 2 laps around here on a set of softs. You can make the one-stop work on this circuit now a lot easier than you could on the previous games, but yes, you're not going to want to start on a 2-lap old set of soft tyres. That is really going to compromise you in the early stages. Taz has gone up into 7th place then on a 129.0. The so old full-time McLaren, we have got Eduardo Gil joining him for tonight. Jonah Martins is back in the Aston Martin. He's invalidated quite early on this lap, and being, we all talk about this runoff area at this circuit. A lot of people aren't really a fan of the blue and red stripes that we see here at Paul Ricard, but it means you don't really get punished time-wise for running off. So certainly a circuit where you can see quite a lot of warnings. I have seen a driver get disqualified around this track before. I doubt we're going to see this in a tier with as much quality as tier 2.
Yeah, but I have seen in Russia quite a few people get as less penalties as I thought, so we could see something similar here today. The track is getting a little bit more clearer at the moment, so the tyre temperatures will be more manageable for these drivers, as Bogan just goes past turn 12 now, and he almost invalidated. He's just on the limit of that curb, and there's a few things that the stewards have told us to watch out for in this race, which we'll keep an eye on in just a moment. But Bogan is going through the start finish straight as well. Up to the line he goes in that Ferrari. It's going to be a 128.6 P3 for him right now. Don't forget, a man who won in Mexico and is continuing to show that he deserves to be in this tier at the moment. There was quite a few instances last week from some drivers, and they're going to hope that Jeddah is behind him. Don't forget, this is the last week before break week for us, because otherwise this would clash with the Miami Grand Prix, which is making his debut in real life next week. So that's why we are not racing. I think we're the only tiers to have a break week. I think it's tier 1 for the PC, us, and tier 4. Everyone else is back as normal as well. Any drivers that you're expecting to be higher up that are not at the moment?
I wouldn't say anyone too much at the moment. I think both Aston Martins haven't really seen what they can do at this moment in time. Eduardo Gil, I've seen him in a few leagues. He's a fairly quick driver, but it is close at the moment. Apart from Andrew Kovapi, who did his lap on a set of the medium tyres, 7/10 of a second are separating the top 11 at the moment. Drake with quite a sizable margin in terms of league racing and 1.5 temps at the top, and he really needs a good performance this week. Was admitted himself he hadn't done a lot of practice, hadn't been on the game a lot coming into the Jeddah race. Of course, that was the first one back here in tier 2 after the desync issues. Wasn't really prepared for it, got damaged early on for the race and ended up retiring. So he looks like he's a bit more on top form, and he'll be happy with that. Again, McLaren can win the Constructors tonight. He wants to get himself back ahead of Morgan Ball. And that could be an interesting dynamic coming into the final 2 races. How much are these two going to want to work together? Because they're both still very much in the Drivers' Championship battle. By the end of tonight, looks very likely that the Constructors are over, so could well be gloves off at the Woking team for the final 2 races.
Yeah, I have to say, they don't have that long at all. So if I was them, focus on playing the team game tonight, and then pretty much it's all for themselves really towards the end of the season. So because usually Morgan Ball and Drake Dempsey played the team game very well. We've seen in tracks like Austria where they gave each other the toe, and we already saw at the beginning of the season how well they worked together anyway. And last season I saw glimpses of Drake Dempsey's performance as he won on his debut on the PCT. I think it was around Abu Dhabi as well. So I wasn't expecting it to be up there as he's invalidated in turn 2 there. He's gone a little bit wide, so you will have to go into the pits, unfortunately, as I think we'll see quite a few people invalidating there as well. Statra, I believe, has invalidated. Not quite sure where he is invalidated, though, for the time being. Expect to see more people on more laps. So Eduardo Gil in a Mercedes, though, looking quite tidy so far at the moment. Not doing too well in real life. Can Eduardo Gil make sure he gets good points for the Mercedes team tonight? P11 for him at the moment on the alternate strategy, as Boga's got disqualified for blocking the pit lane now. I just caught the end of that, and that looked very, very weird. I wonder, I don't know, because I saw one car that was trying to get out as well, and hopefully he didn't get caught out either, but that was a bit unfortunate for Bogan, as Bogan was looking very, very quick.
Yeah, and of course, we'll be starting right at the back. I'll keep an eye on the Discord chat to see if there was anything more coming out of that one. But yeah, look very strange. Didn't look like he spun up the tyres. I know that's normally a common thing if you get a bit sideways out the pit lane, but this I wouldn't expect anyone again in this tier to get things wrong on the way out of the pit lane. But yeah, very strange for Bogan. I was on board with F1 Legend a couple of laps ago. He had a massive moment coming through the long left-hander at turn number 13. Very lucky to avoid losing the car. Thankfully for him, there's plenty of runoff area, and he could salvage things. But there's drivers struggling. There are still a lot of drivers struggling at the moment. We've still got a few looking to set their first lap time. I think Marcus Towler, he's one of them. He's just coming through the final couple of corners now in the Ferrari, so we'll wait and see what he can do as he heads towards the finish line. What's it going to be for Marcus? Just coming up through the gears now. Norwegian heads towards the finish line, and the Ferrari comes across in a very good lap time, 1:28.650. It's incredibly close there. You've got 5 different drivers on a 1:28.6 at the moment. Half a tenth of a second separating second and fifth, but no one's really been able to get close to Drake Dempsey still.
No, it's not. And to be honest, that's very good for Drake Dempsey as well, because you're seeing how the championship is being in Lenny Papinta's favour. Well, if Drake Dempsey gets a bad result tonight, then he's got to kiss his championship hopes goodbye. But with a result like this in qualifying, this could help him, as Leonard goes up to the top of the timing sheet, and he says, if anything Drake could do, I could do better, he says. And he's showing that tonight by a few hundredths of a second, and we think no one was going to top that. As I said earlier, Leonard is definitely showing he's made of the right stuff today, and he could look like he could be a championship favourite going into next season if he stays in Tier 2. It looks like we will get a new champion in Tier 2, because JST A is not here tonight, and he's nowhere near the top of the championship. A few drivers going into the pits at the moment. We still got Pesso and Jonah Martins on a lap right now as well, but I want to see what Jonah can do. I think Jonah needs a little bit more luck, as you were saying. He had a glimpse of hope in Russia. I don't know what to call that track now, to be honest, but Jonah Martins, he's invalidated. He invalidated, I think, turn 8, I think it was as well, but yeah, he has to go into the pits as well, but no harm done, because he should have time to go in as well. So let's just follow Passo then as he heads towards turns 10 and 11 as well. Takes a nice line through there as well. Nice and tidy indeed. He just needs to find 4 attempts. Well, he's not going to find 4 attempts like that, Sunshine, because he is just invalidated.
Yeah, just got a bit heavy on the throttle coming out of the exit of that corner. Had to try and correct things. In doing so, went off track and then invalidated his lap, so he'll be on his way back into the pits. There is obviously the standard pit line rules here. You aren't allowed to cut that pit line on the left-hand side. You can run onto the runoff area on the right-hand side, as long as some of your car is still within the pit lane entry. So as long as you've still got 2 wheels within that. So could be a place where drivers really push things hard. It has caused contention before in other leagues, as I'm sure a lot of our viewers are aware of. So it is going to be one of the things to wait out for. And yeah, Bogan was just waiting for cars to pass him because they were starting their hot laps. So he was trying to get out of the way. And it is a very awkward pit exit here. They changed the pit entry to this new one that causes its own problems, but it is an extremely awkward pit exit that seems to throw you straight on the racing line. And Bogan, trying to be nice, trying to do the gentlemanly thing, letting everyone else out of the way, got the big punishment for that.
Yeah, maybe because there was someone behind him as well. If there was no one else behind him and he was moving back a bit, but that would have been fine, because that's what I usually do around France. If I see someone on a lap and there's no one behind me, I would do that. But yeah, I felt that was a little bit harsh coming from the game, but sometimes the game has got to do what the game's got to do, unfortunately. But we'll see what Bogan can do from last. He's done well from last before in some leagues. We'll see if he can do well in this league too. So we've got 3 people on their out laps at the moment. We've got Eduardo Gil in a Mercedes, we've got Andrew in the AlphaTauri, and we've got Matthew Roberts in the Alpine. Hopefully Matthew Roberts doesn't invalidate like he did on his out lap, so he's going to probably struggle with track limit warnings tonight as well. And it is definitely clear now. There's still a bit of cloud in the sky, but there's definitely more sun. So I'm expecting the lap time to be considerably quicker. Maybe Leonard's time is beatable. We saw Drake Dempsey's time could be beatable, but I am expecting Morgan Bull to find a few more attempts. His teammate was up there as well. They were pretty much almost even in pace last week, apart from Drake Dempsey's unfortunate incident. So I think Morgan Bull must be a little bit worried that Drake Dempsey's up there near the top.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Morgan, he knows he can take the championship lead tonight. If he takes the victory, it will be his. There's nothing Drake Dempsey can do about that. Even if Drake wins and Morgan finishes in second, you know, Lenny Pinter would still be finishing on top of the championship. If we do get that result, Drake Dempsey getting the win, Morgan Ball in second place, there would be 2 points separating the top 3 going into the final 2 rounds. So I know we're supposed to be unbiased as a commentators, but from a championship point of view, that would be an absolutely fantastic result to have going into the final couple of races of the season. Eduardo Gil, only man that is on a hot lap at the moment. He's going a bit earlier on. Bit surprised by this. It does give him some free air, but given the fact that it's got a bit sunnier, there's less cloud cover, the track temperature will be raising. We know how difficult this final sector is with track temperature, so I don't think now you're going to be able to get 2 hot runs in a row without your tyres severely overheating by the end of that second lap.
Yes, indeed, as he is going to be the first person to set the benchmark for the final few minutes of the qualifying session then. So he's going to have less rubber than everybody else as well, because the later you leave it, the more grip you have on the track. But I'm sure Gil doesn't want to make any mistakes. He's made no mistakes so far on his run, but he needs to get into the 128s, surely, because he's one of few drivers not to do so. Or maybe he's going for the alternate strategy, as Luke was talking about earlier on. So Eduardo Gil up to the line, 129.015, so not quite in the 128s yet, but he's still trying. Matthew Roberts has retired from the session. He's retired in the pit lane, so he's deciding not to go for another lap and start second to last tonight, which is not ideal for him with a track which is quite harder to overtake than some other tracks. And with Matthew Roberts leaving the session, don't worry, don't panic. There is going to be obviously a lobby restart due to obviously the glitches that are happening at the moment. Legend was on a lap. He is unfortunately invalidated. Who else will be next to cross the line? I think it'll be one of the AlphaTauris. It's Andrew Corpy who will be the first man to finish off his lap this afternoon. Well, this evening anyway. We'll see if he can get any higher than 15th place. What can he do? Can he get into the 128? Yes, he can, and well into the 128s. 128.511 puts himself into P3. What about his teammate Pesso? He's about to start his flying lap. We got an Alpine of, I'm just trying to see what Alpine it is. Oh, it's obviously Jay, who's about to start his flyer. We've got a few Williams boys on laps. We've got Legend, who has unfortunately invalidated, so he has one last one to do. So Tad can only manage 40, but what about his teammate Eduardo Gil? Would he be going again? Probably not. No, he doesn't. He goes into the pits. Andrew has invalidated his second run, so he won't be going again. We've got a Ferrari of Marcus Towler. Guess what? He has invalidated. We've got a Haas behind him, which is Sergio Sabrino. He's now full-time in that seat as well, looking for something to prove. Can he get out of the 129s and into the 128s? He needs a good lap to do so. He goes up to the line. and he slowed down. He slowed down on purpose. He wants to be on that alternate strategy, which is fair enough. Morgan Bull, 128.3. That is the lap that I'm talking about at the moment. Drake Dempsey up to the line. P2 not quite matching his teammate, but very, very close indeed between the top two. Matteo Longay, who's making his return to WR. P3, that's sensational. So at the moment, we've got a McLaren 1-2 and an Alfa Romeo 3-4. Can an Alfa Romeo beat both of the McLarens? We'll have to wait and see. Here comes Lennart up to the line. Would it be pole? No, it's P3, but he goes ahead of his teammate. We'll see. Is Peso on a lap? Well, he was on a lap, only P5 for now, but still well into the 128. Is Jay on a run, or is he going to back off as well? Yes, he's backed off too. So there we go then. What an interesting qualifying session. Some people purposely slowing down to go for the alternate strategy, which strongly suggests it's going to be a dry session.
Yeah, it does. Jay was one of those. We saw Sergio Sabrino do it as well. He had a massive moment coming through turn number 1 as well. So to consider that and the fact that he slowed down, to still be 6/7 of a second off of pole position, not a bad lap from the newly full-time driver. Drake Dempsey was behind going through the first 2 sectors. He nearly made all that time back up through sector 3. For Lennart, it was the opposite. He was on for pole position coming out of sector 2. Just clearly somewhere in the final sector. We didn't see it on stream. Just maybe one slight mistake, a bit slower through a corner. And he ends up in 3rd place on the grid. The top 3 that we've got in the championship here tonight are the top 3 on the grid. Looks like we're going to have a fantastic race.
Yes, so those are your standings, and we won't have time to obviously go through all of them, but what a crazy race we are going to be having, so make sure you stay tuned in for that as well. So we are going to be leaving this lobby then whilst the drivers get in this lobby restart, as it's taken a while for me to close my game, unfortunately, so hopefully I can close my game very, very soon. But Luke did briefly touch on the standings earlier on, so we're going to be going through those in just a few moments time as I get them up on my screen. There we go. So here is your standings right in front of you. So as you can see at the moment, we've got Lenny Mapinta, like we said, 147, Morgan Bourne 128. We've got Drake Dempsey on 120 points. I thought it said 128 as well, but no, it's 120. We've got Lennart on 85 points. He got a podium last week, which was very, very great to see. We've got JST on 54. He's not here tonight. We've got Bogan on 43. Jonah Martin on 38. We've got Leroy Brown, who's in Tier 1 tonight, on 34. Camille Stature on 33. Viatel on 38. Then we got Tad on 28. Mark 313 on 20. Sergio Sabrina on 18. Marcus Towler on 17. Matteo Longay on 15. Then we've got Harvey Cowan, who scored a podium last week in P3. And then we got Peso in 20th position. I think all the other drivers are not here as well. So those are your standings at the moment. And obviously, one of the 2 McLarens could take the championship lead if obviously they get a P1 and P2. But if they don't do well tonight, Lenny Mapinta is going to have a huge smile on his face later on. So those were your standings as well. We'll go through your constructors in just a moment.
Yeah, we'll go through the constructors just at the moment. But yeah, a fantastic. It's all fantastically set at the moment. Should be a really good race. I am really looking forward to this one tonight. I think I've said that a few times already. It should, just with how good things are going at the moment, just how close things look like they are going to be heading into the final part of the season. It's all very interesting. It's all very exciting, you know. Just that extra bit of tension. What all this does do is negates the power of the alternate strategy. We are used to the alternate strategy being by far the best thing to do around this circuit. Whether it's going to be the case now, we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, I think most of the time the alternate strategy is run. They do quite well, but most of the races I've seen, it's rain. So I think this is the first time I'm actually going to be commentating on an alternate strategy race, which is going to be actually a dry race at the moment, as I haven't been given very long to join the lobby. So I am just about to join. Don't you worry, Jonah. As well. So we've got to talk about Lennart as well, because Lennart's an interesting character as well, because he's also got his teammate for company as well, Matteo Longay, who hasn't been attending the last few rounds. Wasn't expecting Matteo to be up there at the moment, but we saw his form in his first race at WR around Zandvoort, and he managed to get a podium, and he didn't do any practice around there either. So I wonder on Mateo's purposes, because obviously he is, I think he's related to obviously Nicolas Zonge. I wonder if I wonder if he's done any practice tonight, and if he hasn't, I wonder if he's keeping his trend of only practicing 15 minutes before the race.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Clearly worked for him last time out, so why not carry on like that? It's I always find one of those things, practice, yeah, it can make you a tiny bit faster, but I'd say normally for these drivers, after 10 or 15 minutes practice, they're probably within a tenth or two of their ultimate pace. We know with how close league racing is, a tenth or two can make a massive difference. It's that consistency that can sometimes go away, and I think especially around a circuit like this one, I feel like it will make you pay a bit more if you haven't done that practice. I mean, we look at where Mateo has raced so far this season, Netherlands and Canada. Netherlands not a circuit where you're going to see too many track limit penalties. I think somewhere around here it might just be easy to get it wrong, go a bit deep, pick up one of those penalties. So maybe tonight it might be a bit more costly for him. Maybe I'm talking absolute rubbish, and we'll wait and see.
Yes, you never know, because we predicted quite a few drivers to do well last week and absolutely binned it. Obviously, Matthew Roberts starting near the back as well. We saw how Harvey, who came from the Xbox side, did incredibly well last week to get P3 on his PC debut as well. But with Matthew Roberts having a difficult task compared to his Xbox compatriot, do you think he has a bit more pressure as well?
I think a lot of these that have transferred from Xbox to PC for this are just taking this as a bit more, almost as an extended practice session, to be honest. A practice for Xbox as well, and just a bit of a feel for what they'll be like possibly on the next game of F1 22, of course, on the new platform. They've still got a bit of time before that comes out, 2 months today, roughly before that. I know there's been a few leaks going around on of what is probably a very early alpha copy on the internet at the moment. But yeah, they're just relaxing at the moment, I think. Not driving with too much pressure. We saw that with Harvey Cohen last time out. Just went out in Saudi Arabia with a bit of a feel for things. Ended up getting pole position and a 3rd place. So even though qualifying's not gone that great for Matthew Roberts, he can maybe afford to relax. There's not a lot of pressure on him. No one's really probably expecting too much from him in this race. Maybe this will give him a chance to see what he can really do, because we know he is a quick driver.
Yeah, definitely, and I have to agree with you on that one as well, because don't forget, there is Xbox Tier 1 on Mondays at 8 PM UK time, commentated by Warder and Jish. If you want to check that out, please feel free, because that will be absolutely amazing. But without further ado, let's have a look at the track that the drivers are going to be racing at tonight. And there's been a few drivers that have done very, very well in France in the past. It's been quite a popular track for the Xbox side as well. Remember Season 10, of course, to name a few. We saw Caden Lott actually taken more than one win around this track. The only driver to have done so pretty much out of the rest of the WOR drivers, to be honest, as well. So it looks quite overcast there as well in this intro as well. So I wonder if the people making the intros read our minds for a minute there as well. So let's have a look at this track map then. So it's 5.842 kilometers long. It has 15 turns, and it's situated at 3.630 miles, and it has 2 detection points, and one of them, which I think we'll see a few overtaking spots tonight, will be turn 7 and 8, and that chicane as well. There's no chicane in the endurance layout as well, which is quite weird. So I think the drivers are hoping that they don't get caught out by that. And those are the winners from last time, including Season 10 champion on the PlayStation side, VRT Ballina, also known as Xander to you and me at the moment. Let's look at some action points for the drivers. And the first one heading towards turn 8 and 9 then, as there was a late lunge from Shadow, absolutely incredible as well, as they go up the straight here, heading towards turn 9. And we're also seeing Ronghar as well, Season 11 champion, going for a double overtake into turn 10, which I have to say was quite incredible indeed, and he was able to make the move stick. So those are the action points tonight around Paul Ricard circuit, and we are going to be getting the tyres up for you for this French Grand Prix, and we're going to see what the drivers are going to be up against. And quite interesting strategies tonight. 2 people have gone for the hard compounder tyres, which are Matthew Roberts and Bogan. Not what I would have gone for. Maybe they're not as comfortable going on the soft to medium to soft strategy. Everyone else outside the top 10, we've got Jay, F1 legend, Sergio Sabrino, Eduardo Gil and Taz, have gone for the mediums.
Yeah, mediums I think is more conventional. Just on board with Matthew Roberts coming out of turn number 6 and 7. Very nearly spun the car there on that set of hard tyres. So if anyone needed a demonstration of how difficult the tyre warm-up can be on those set of hards, you just almost got it instantly there. Yes, could work out slightly better than the mediums. They're not going to have to worry as much about tyre life, so can maybe afford to just push a bit harder in those early stages. Whereas if you're in the mediums and you're on the softs, especially when you've got this higher fuel load, there's a tiny bit of care and attention that you need to pay. You just need to try and eke them out that bit longer and maybe pay the benefits later on in the race when you have got the fresher tyres. Just maybe pitting that 1 or 2 laps later could be very interesting. A McLaren 1-2, Alfa Romeo 3-4, Alfa Tauri 5-6, all very even up there. I think we need to watch out for those front three on the set of the medium tyres. Jay, F1 Legend, and Sergio Sabrino. Didn't see with F1 Legend, but definitely Jay and Sergio slowed down on their latest laps to make sure that they started on the medium tyres. As long as they stay in touch for the first lap or two and stay in the DRS range, which I don't think will be too much of an issue for them, they could have a really good race here. Maybe even a possibility for podiums.
Yes, exactly. So we're about to get started then for PC Tier 2 for the French Grand Prix. Luckily, the drivers were able to join the lobby very, very quickly indeed. So thank you, everyone, for all your cooperation. And we're about to get going then. The two McLarens in P1 and P2, if they do like this tonight, score 1-2, they will be able to secure the Constructors' Championship for McLaren. Will anyone be able to stop them? The 5 red lights are on and we are underway. Let's see who has a better getaway out of the McLaren drivers. It looks like a pretty even getaway, actually. Can Lennon sneak under the middle of those in towards turn 1? Not quite. We've got the Alfa Romeos trying to get a good start from Matteo. We've got the Aston Martin of Jonah up into P7. We've got a few contact in the background. That is Andrew Corby, who's out of this race already before it's even begun. I wonder if there's a few front wing damage. I'm not entirely sure, but already we have got a virtual safety car. Eduardo Gil is in the wrong car. He's meant to be in the Mercedes, but he's in the Williams. That is interesting, but surely that won't matter, hopefully. That confused me a little bit. I was wondering why he wasn't in the Mercedes there as well. But, yeah, a bit unfortunate for Andrew on his debut, but sometimes races end like that, unfortunately. No one's going to make any moves yet because of VSC, but we're about to get underway.
Yeah, we're about to get back underway again, and Sergio Sabrino going side by side with F1 Legend then, coming through the Mistral chicane for the first time, clearly a bit more active to the VSC ending, and that is Sergio up towards the top 10. Already a 1.2 second gap, though, to Jay Vahar just ahead of him. Well, I don't know what happened there. Fritzen and Karapi. I saw Fritzen losing the car, whether Karapi just got unfortunately involved in that, whether there was a bit of a correlation between why Fritzen lost the car. I'm not so sure. Very unfortunate to retire from this race, especially given the fact that France is known for having so much runoff area. Really is a bit of a strange incident to end up finding the wall anywhere out on the circuit. And yeah, F1 Legend, I wonder if he's picked up some damage because he is just dropping down the order at the moment. Almost making his way into the pit lane there, but Sabrino's got past him. Yields has getting ahead. And Bogan just straightforward does him on the outside there. Legend must have a problem with the car.
I think Fritzen has got a problem in the car as well, Luke. He is also a first driver to go into the pit, so he's probably picked some sort of front wing damage, even though it's minor. You can see through a naked eye. For his, it doesn't look good at all. So he's going to be going onto the hards then and take them as long as he possibly can, hoping that a safety car can bring him back into this race. So we've got McLaren, Alfa Romeo. It's remained unchanged since the start. We've got Pesso in 5th, Marcus Towler in P6. We'll keep an eye on people's fuel loads as well, because people may have underfueled for a potential safety car, but not many people at the moment, which is very, very great to see as they all make their way towards turn number 8. The leading medium on at the moment is Jay Verhaer in P9. He was able to avoid all the carnage as well. We're seeing quite a lot of people use the ERS, and there's not many places where you can recharge as well, I find, around this circuit. Maybe towards turn 11 and 12 and towards the chicane, but probably not quite anywhere else. So, there's huge contact with Eduardo Gil, and he's had a bit of a spin in the Williams, and that is not what you want to do, and he's down in 15th position on those mediums. I think he's going to have to pit as well, because his tyres must be cooked.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that was with. I think Taz has actually just managed to get ahead of Eduardo, and then it looked like there was some contact from behind Eduardo. I was on board with the Williams at the time, so not sure who it was with. So far off the circuit there. Thankfully, there is a lot of runoff at most circuits. That would have probably been a second retirement of the race, but thankfully, he's been able to get away without any major damage. He's now a long way off the back of the field, though. Matthew Roberts trying to move up the field on these hard tyres alongside Bogan. They're 12th and 13th at the moment. DRS activated. Sergio's got onto the back of Jay, which is good news for him. These top 10 cars are in a train at the moment. The longer these mediums can stay with the soft-tyred runners, the better for them. So Jay and Sergio just need to be patient at the moment. This race will certainly come towards them. And out on the front, we have got a bit of a train. Drake not really close enough to Morgan to go for a move. And therefore, because of the DRS train, I don't think we're going to see too many more moves further back. It's all going to be about when does anyone dare go for the undercut. Could be the two Aston Martins at the back of this train. That might be the first drivers to think about it.
Well, the fact is, double stacking is a huge problem on this game. So with the two McLarens and the two Alfa Romeos, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. One of them will have to compromise on their strategy a little bit. We're seeing Marcus Towler having a battle with Pesso as Pesso runs a little bit wide. But can Marcus Towler do a switchback around the inside? He does not as we head towards turn number 12. That was very close to one move being made there in the top 6, but not at the moment. We've got the two Aston Martins line astern in P7 and P8 respectively as well. So they'll probably be working together at the moment too. But apart from that, no major trouble. Obviously Fritzen, he's about 21.4 seconds down the road. Eduardo Gil not choosing to pit though, so he's probably got minor damage and is able to continue. But I'm almost certain that the understeer that he's got with those tyre temperatures must be even harder to drive. So that's why he's losing more time to F1 Legend too. But F1 Legend is still staying out despite the issues he's been having as well, which shows that you do not give up in times like this. Top 10 do score points in WOR. Most pretty much it's the normal F1 point system, just to keep things simple as well. Drake Dempsey could be his first attempt to try and get past Morgan Ball here. Heading in towards turn number 8, you can almost see that he's definitely working together with Morgan Ball because he's not even using his ERS. He's got the DRS to try and stay close to him as well. But the more that they keep fighting like this, it will allow Leonard back in the picture as well. But I wonder if Mateo behind him is doing exactly the same thing. But these are what these two need to do in order to keep the constructors over to Woking tonight. But they can do it next week if they want to, but they want to concentrate on the Drivers' Championship in the final 2 weeks as well, because it's even hard to concentrate on two championships at the same time when you're potentially going to be winning both of them. Heading towards turn number 12, we saw Pesso in turn 11 almost trying to get a move on, well, pretty much Marcus Towler trying to get a move on Pesso there, but to no avail right now as well. It just shows how difficult it is to overtake at the moment. The crossover point will be very, very soon. We'll keep an eye on Jay's Delta to see if the mediums are going to be the best time. Not at the moment though.
Yeah, they're still hanging in there at the moment. They're definitely not suffering being on those mediums, so things are looking good for them. Drake gets a lot closer to Morgan Ball into turn 1 than he does into the Mistral chicane, and there it looked as though he was almost thinking about a move down the inside, compromised his line slightly and allowed Leonard to get pretty close, but it has all settled its way out.
Leonard has almost hit the back of Drake Dempsey there. That might have costed a bit of time, but I'm sure that hasn't affected Drake Dempsey too much. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but Drake seems to be struggling more in Sector 1 than the others. Whether that's a bit of a change with his setup, I know certainly when you come through 3, 4 and 5, it can be quite an awkward part, but this is the closest Drake has got by a long way, and this should be a very straightforward pass. And the American on the Welshman down the inside, ahead before the braking zone, can take the racing line. And that is Drake Dempsey in the lead in this race. Further down the field, Bogan, he's working his way up on those hard tyres as well. He's into 11th. Watch out for him later on, because he'll have no trouble having pace on a set of the soft tyres. And who knows, he is a bit marooned off the back of the field though, so maybe if there's a late safety car, maybe that might be his best possible opportunity. These front three are looking very racy though, and Leonard's he's just the one stuck in the middle, and maybe he could be the one to come into the pits a bit earlier on to just either go for a set of hards or in a couple of laps time go for a set of mediums to try and jump ahead of the two McLarens. You see it so often on this game, we've seen it in real life as well. If you're the third car in the train, nigh on impossible to overtake.
Yes, which is a bit unfortunate. I think the main chance you get to overtake is whether you're in P2 at the moment as well. We've got a train from P1 all the way down to P10. That's how crazy it is. And then we've got a potential train between Bogan, Taz, Matthew Roberts and F1 Legend as well. So 2 battles that we can see right now. And it's unfortunate that these drivers can't follow close together. Hopefully in the F1 22 game we'll be able to do so. But we will obviously find that in a few months' time if we could do that. The game does come out on July 1st, I believe, on all 3 platforms as well. So that could be interesting to see as well. And I wonder if any of these drivers will be picking up the game on PC once again and be fighting for Tier 2, maybe even Tier 1 potentially as well. Yellow flag set to 3. That is Fritz out of this race. He's retired in the pit lane, I believe. So he decided to call it a day, unfortunately. Not really that surprised because he was around about 20 to 30 seconds behind everybody else, which is a bit of a shame. But look at Matteo Longe getting a nice run there. Leonard's run a little bit wide there as well. So I wonder if they're working together. Maybe they think Matteo is a little bit faster potentially as well. Or maybe they're not. Marcus Towler trying to get past, I think, both Pesso and Leonard there as well. Marcus Towler taking the long way around there, around the outside, into turn 11 and 12. This time he makes it steer up to P4. We got Jonah Martins getting past Leonard. Leonard is definitely struggling there on those softs because he was in P3. He's dropped all the way down into P7 there. So if I was him, maybe thinking about going into the pits. And yes, he does go into the pits and he hits the Aston Martin as well of stature, which is not ideal. Hopefully there's no damage there, but yeah, I think it's a bit early for the mediums, but you never know. The mediums can stretch to the end. I do see hard tyres, I believe, for the Aston Martin. Let's see what it is for the Alfa Romeo. It's medium tyres for Leonard, so he's going to try and get them to the end.
Mediums and a front wing change. I can only imagine that he went into the back of Morgan Ball mainly part way through the chicane, and that's what caused him to go wide. And then through that final sector, you need a lot of downforce on the car through there here, but Paul Ricard at sector 3 just had no chance and tumbled down the order. Now 6.5 seconds behind Sakura as well, so he's not going to be able to use the DRS and work together with him. Could be a very intelligent move there by Kamil Sakura to get ahead of Leonard before the pit entry. Might have been marginal to whether he crossed that all-important white line though, and Sakura nearly losing it on his hard tyres on the exit of that pit stop. That won't cause the front wheel drivers to react now, of course. I think they'll be happy just to wait that tiny bit longer if they feel the need to, as Jonah Martins thinks about throwing one down the inside of Pesso, and he's going to make this work. He's starting to make some move up through the field, and there we go. Jonah Martins now up into the top 5. Will we see any of these front 6 drivers coming to the pit? Jay and Sergio are still on the back of them. Not close enough to overtake, but importantly for them, close enough to get the DRS, as it looks like all the front cars are just hanging on for another lap.
Yeah, so definitely going for the soft to medium strategy, Luke. Otherwise, they would have probably gone for the hard tyres. But we saw Leonard going on the medium tyres anyway, but he had no other choice because the hard tyres around here, I've raced around here around the hards, and it's absolutely awful. The understeer central, believe me, it's difficult. So you're going to be losing so much more time. The delta is considerably different compared to the mediums as well. So you really want to stretch it out for as long as you possibly can. F1 Legend, though, goes into the pit. So is he going to go on the hard tyres? So potentially maybe he doesn't like the mediums. I'm a bit surprised as well because he was struggling. He has no damage though on that car, so I wonder if his pace is considerably slower compared to the other drivers as well. So that's probably why he's dropped down into 15 place. Let's see what he could do from 15. But he doesn't have to pit again, of course. And if there's a safety car, it could change as well. We've got Morgan Bull, gets past Drake Dempsey into turn 8, and is now your race leader at the moment as well. They can't afford to be fighting like this, but I'm sure those two don't care right now. Drake Dempsey has got a lot of VRS to use compared to Morgan Bull as well. So I think Morgan Bull's a bit more committed to that move there as well. And we're trying to see what Drake Dempsey could have go down the inside there into turn 11 and 12, but not quite at the moment. These two McLarens are evenly matched, which is great to see. I'm sure Zach Brown will be absolutely delighted at the moment, but I'm a bit curious why Drake Dempsey is not using his overtake. Well, Morgan Bull goes into the pits earlier than I expected. I thought these guys would be going lap 8 onto the hard tyres, but looks like they could go onto me as Marcus Towler goes in as well. Surely a few more people on the softs will follow suit. No, they do not. Jonah Martins stays out. Pesso stays out then. So there we go then. That is your running order at the moment. Marcus Towler and Morgan Bull both go onto the medium compounder tyres. Pretty much unexpected, to be honest.
Yeah, I think lap 8 probably the earliest you'd ideally want to do it, going onto that set of the medium tyres. Leonard obviously went a bit later on and is setting some decent pace on that set of medium tyres. We've just seen Kamil Sakura set the fastest lap of the race. There we go. Leonard unsurprisingly beats it. Drake Dempsey, maybe now we'll find out why he was saving his ERS. Maybe now he'll go for it a bit more on this lap. He's nearly pulled out a second ahead of Matteo Longe, as there's some proof that the medium tyres are coming good. Jeva Hage gets himself up into 4th place and ahead of Peso, who just seems to be finding himself stuck off the back of the rest of this soft train. So Jay starting to put some pace in. I think Sergio will try to follow through sooner rather than later. You can see in the background, Sergio might have to try this the long way round the outside at Sinez. This will be a brave move if he can pull it off in the Alpha, in the Haas, actually, on the Alpha Tauri. And he has done indeed. So Sergio there, getting himself up into 5th. That could be crucial for his race. Allows him to stay within touch of Jay in the Alpine. And I think we might see the rest of the leaders coming in this lap. Morgan Ball, you would expect to be in the lead of this race then after the pit stops work out. I'm interested to see where Marcus Towler's going to be.
Yes, indeed, because he's 1.4 seconds behind Morgan Ball, but he's got Statra closing in like no tomorrow, and he's on the hard tyres as well. And I have to say, Statra may wanted to stretch out these tyres a little bit more, but it's showing that the undercut could work, but once the medium tyres drop off, watch out for Statra towards the end of this race compared to the one staying on those medium tyres. We've got Jay Verhaar leading at the moment because Drake Dempsey, Mateo and Jonah Martins all come in and to the pits. We've got Morgan Ball that's going to come towards turn 1 now, and is it going to be tight? Morgan Ball takes the lead then, so it shows that the undercut is the most powerful around here in Paul Ricard. Drake Dempsey in a net P2 as we've got F1 Legend out of this race. He's also retired in the pit lane. Marcus Towler, he's pulled a blinder because of the undercut that he has got. He's in a net P3.
Yeah, he is. Just jumping Matteo Longe then on the exit of the pit lane. Didn't have DRS, interestingly, on Morgan Ball, but he will have DRS on Drake Dempsey, so that maybe gives him a bit of a chance to rebuild his battery, using it quite hard on the previous lap. The two Aston Martins are going side by side here, you can imagine. Tsuchiova, and he has done, will just drop behind Jonah Martins. Let that one happen. Jonah's going to be fastest now, and in fact, Tsuchiova gives him a little bit of a love tap then. The Silverstone squad almost making contact. Well, they did make contact with each other on the way into the Mistral chicane there. Tsuchiova just going into the back of Jonah Martins, but no harm done. Still, they're stuck in this train, and it is Tsuchiova who's the odd one out on those hard tyres. Needs to try and hang with them as much as he can in the next few laps if he wants to have any chance of taking the victory in this race. Peso comes into the pits now, the Czech driver. I think he's going to find himself off the back of this train and might struggle and might be a sitting duck later on when Jay and Sergio eventually come into the pits.
Yeah, so I'm a bit shocked as to why he's waited this long to come in as well, due to the powerful undercut as well, because you could see that the medium tyres, they did get past Peso, but Peso's on the mediums now until the end. He's going to have the benefit of the fresher rubber, but he's dropping all the way down to P12 at the moment. Look at that. That's how much time he's losing. Now it's P13. Now potentially P14. Yeah, he's now in last place as Leonard also gets past too. So he did an awful thing for staying out. So we're almost approaching the halfway mark of this race then. We'll go through your running order and net race order. Morgan Ball is your net race leader. Drake Dempsey in net P2. Marcus Towler in 3rd. Matteo Longe in 4th. And Jonah Martins in 5th. But with Statua close behind, that could be quite tight between the two Aston Martins following line astern. Once again, Eduardo Gil doing a great job. I do believe he will have to still pit. He's having an awful race so far. He's also picked up a time penalty too, as Leonard does get past Eduardo Gil on those fresher tyres in towards turn 8, and he's going to try and see if he can salvage some points in this race, because that's all he can hope and pray at the moment. But the guy in front of him is on the hard tyres, so hopefully the Delta could come to reward him in the future as well. But your race leader on track is Jay. He's chased down by Sergio as well. That could be an interesting fight. And Bogan has been chasing down by Taz. Matthew Roberts is in no man's land at the moment, but his hard tyres will become good very, very soon, and that could be very, very good when he wants to go onto the stock compounded tyres.
Yeah, it could be indeed. Bogan is keeping pace at the moment with Jay and Sergio, so you can only imagine in a couple of laps' time the hards are going to be quicker. That'll be good news for the Ferrari. It will be good news for Matthew Roberts as well. Leonard sets the fastest lap of the race. He is pushing hard, and if him and Peso can work together, you never know. If those at the front in the net lead of this race maybe are just a bit calm, maybe take their time a bit too much, there could be a chance for Leonard and Peso to get onto the back of this train. Of course, with the age of Leonard's tyres, I think it's going to be exceptionally hard for him to do anything in this race, and therefore still have a say in this championship battle. He did ideally needed a win to have any realistic opportunity of taking this championship from his point of view, and that's not going to happen with him down in 12th at the moment. but might still get a good result, especially if there's any penalties from those ahead. And I think this is what we expected. These drivers are clean. Apart from Eduardo Gil, no one has got penalties at the moment. And Pesso and Leonard, whether they are working together or whether Pesso's just trying to get that move done on the fresh and medium tyres, he is now up into 12th place. Sergio keeps getting close to Jay, and Drake keeps getting close to Morgan. We're just not seeing any overtakes in them lead trains at the moment. Bogan picks up a 3-second time penalty. That will cost him later on, I'm sure.
Yes, I think he's going to be towards the back out of the ones he's still yet to pick, which is a bit unfortunate at the moment. And this will allow Taz a bit of breathing space and a little bit more confidence to see if he can try and get past Bogan as well. But I have to say, Sergio could benefit from the DRS as well, because I'm almost certain that Jay's tyres will start to drop off. Same with Sergio's as well. We'll keep an eye on the delta between Bogan now, and that's going to be the next and major factor. Once we see the delta come down between Bogan and the two guys up front, then we know that the mediums will die at the moment. But they got to stretch it out for a long time, because the softs can only last 8-9 laps. So they will be having to wait until around about lap 18 and 19 to pit for a set of the soft compounded tyres, because they don't really want to be going onto the hard tyres. They don't want a safety car to change things at the moment. That's always the downside of the alternate strategy. Sometimes you just got to go for the right strategy. If you have to go onto the hard tyres, if there's a safety car, you probably have to. Sometimes people going on the soft probably will find the best option. Drake Dempsey again not able to get past Morgan Bull for P6 at the moment. And for those who just joined us, wherever you've been, welcome back to PC Tier 2. Make sure that you do like this video, hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when to check out our stream. We stream pretty much almost every day on the WOR YouTube and Twitch channels, and you can find out when and where we stream on Twitter at WOR League as well. We stream Xbox on Monday nights and Xbox throughout the week, and then of course we've got the PS top tier on Friday nights, and of course we've got us and Tier 1 on Sunday nights as well. So plenty of action to keep you entertained, and of course we've got Xbox Tier 1 on tomorrow at 8 PM UK time if you want some more French Grand Prix action, and a few of these drivers will be taking part in that as well then. So lap 14 and 27, a few more laps before the guys on the mediums and the hards will be going on to the soft compounded tyres, and that could provide some interesting battling at this moment in time. Joe Mines is the first driver in this race to pick up a time penalty as well. We expect to see more. I wonder if a few people are on 2 warnings right now, because I'm riding on board with a few drivers throughout the race. A few people were cutting it fine with track limits.
Yes, you can be careful if you're on 2 warnings, especially if you don't think there's a possibility to get them removed. Whereas if you're on 3 warnings, you've already got that penalty. You can sort of afford to push things a bit more. As Drake Dempsey looks like he's had enough for saving his ERS, and he's now going to try and take the net lead over this race. Passes his teammate. Those 2 McLarens still working very well together. Might get a bit more feisty later on in this race. And I feel like Drake felt he had to make that move, because Marcus Towler, the last couple of laps, has got pretty close into turn number 8, into the first part of that Mistral chicane, onto making a move. He didn't want to just sit behind Morgan Ball and then look a bit foolish as Marcus got past a pair of them. Similar to what we saw happening last week in Saudi Arabia. We are getting a similar sort of vibe here, where drivers aren't really wanting to, go for the overtakes. They're quite happy to just stay behind, save a bit of ERS, save a bit of tyres. They're not catching up too much, actually, to these leaders. And I think another sign that they're not catching up too much is that Leonard and Pesso are now just 2.5 seconds off the back of this train, and that was 4 seconds a few laps ago. So those 2 are really pushing. If they do get onto the back of this train, if we do see some more drivers do what Yona has done and pick up a time penalty, they might still have a say in how this race goes. Watch this space.
And they may get points as well, as Leonard once again picked the fastest lap of this race as well. So these 2, Leonard and Passo, will definitely be working together as well. I think those 2 get on very, very well indeed. And we are watching the deltas come down significantly between Bogan and Sergio Sabrino in his final few laps that have just gone at the moment. And that does mean that the mediums are starting to wear quite considerably. The tyre degradation is absolutely poor at the moment, which means Bogan's in a good position to try and get both of these drivers, but you got to be within DRS as well. Matthew Roberts could be in a good position. Meanwhile, Morgan Ball once again decided he's also had enough of Drake Dempsey, and he gets past him up into P6 quite nicely as well. They're probably going to be switching positions throughout this race at the moment. Don't forget, this is for your net racing. We also see a battle, I believe, between Marcus Towler and Matteo Longay as well. And we also got Jonah Martins that could make it 3 abreast as well. We've got all 5 cars pretty much in this same train. If any one of these drivers make a mistake, it is curtains for one of them as Jonah Martins picks up another penalty. As I said that, Jonah Martins is in the wall and he's out of this race. Could this trigger a safety car? I don't know. I don't think so, but I think that was an example of a commentator's curse, unfortunately, as we now got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in this train. Statra is now in this train as well, and things have got a little bit more interesting. I'm surprised there is no safety car, probably because Jonah was the one who retired off the track rather than on the track.
Yeah, don't really like to see that, to be honest. I think Jonah, someone's got to him there, and I didn't quite see what happened. He was very close to the back of Matteo Longay, and just sort of ran the car extremely wide out of turn 11, and got the 3-second warning for it, and just sort of gave up and crashed it into the wall. Yeah, clearly, obviously, you know, in the heat of the moment, I'm sure that's not a premeditated thing from Jonah, but yeah, quite annoyed by that and leaving the session straight away. And as for host, I hope that doesn't cause any issues in this session as we get a swap between the two McLarens again. Drake Dempsey getting his way back ahead of Morgan Ball, so these two keep swapping around every single lap, and Marcus and Matteo and Temil Sajova just can't quite get close enough at the moment. We've now got a 3-car train though for the actual lead of this race between Jay, Sergio and Bogan. I think we're only 2 laps away from these drivers pitting, and in fact make that a 4-car train as now Taz is getting onto the back of these.
I'm surprised Matthew Roberts is not in this train as well as Taz. Oh, I think that was another warning now. He's cut the corner there as well. And he's lost a little bit more time as well as Taz goes into the pits. Now, that is early for Taz. That is extremely earlier than I was expecting. So, what is he going to do? Is he going to go on to hards or is he going to go on to softs? That is hard tyres then. So, if he's not comfortable, the softs are going to make it to the end of this race. He's got a few more laps before the softs are at the operating window anyway, and he doesn't want to wait that long for the undercut, so I think his race is pretty much ruined. Unfortunately, he was probably struggling a little bit for grip, so that means that leaves 2 medium runners out front along with 2 hard runners as well. Battle with the mediums versus the hards, and it's just showing who is on the right strategy at the moment. We've got Bogan then trying to get a move past Sergio Sabrina, then heading in towards turn 8 on this back DRS straight. Can he do it? This could be a double overtake. We've seen it with Ron Hart earlier on, but we're not seeing it with Bogan here today, as Bogan is up into P2. Incredible stuff from him. Don't forget Bogan does have a time penalty. These hards are absolutely flying right now. The mediums, they're struggling for grip. You can see on traction the way that Bogan is handling the car just a little bit better as well. The hards look absolutely fully planted on the track at the moment, so I think we will expect to see the ones on the mediums going to the pits very, very shortly. Pesso having another battle with Leonard then up into 10th place, so these could be squabbling for a few laps to come at the moment as Jay, as I was saying, goes in into the pit lane as he is going to go on to, surely it'll be soft tyres, but with the grip he was losing, maybe you'll have to go on to the hard tyres because it'll probably be a bit too early for the softs. He's actually going on to the soft tyres. It's going to be a push to get into the end, but we've seen Pesso pretty much do it, so I wonder if Jay can do it.
He should be able to do it. Let's not forget he'll have a lot less fuel in his car now, probably about 35 kilos less of fuel than what Pesso had at the start of the race, so that's 35 kilos less you put into every acceleration event, every braking event, every steering event. A lot less load going through those Pirelli soft tyres. 8 seconds off the back of Leonard. He's going to catch that up pretty quickly. I would expect him to be on the back of those drivers at the end of this race. Maybe, as we said, getting a victory, getting a podium might just be a bit too much just because of how hard it is going to be to work his way through the DRS train. We've got Yona here telling Matteo to go back to Valorant. Something happened between those two that unfortunately we didn't catch on stream. Something's happening between the net front two as well. Morgan Ball back ahead of Drake Dempsey. Still 5.7 seconds though off the back of Matthew Roberts. They've not caught up to this to Bogan, Sabrino and Roberts, who've done a decent job, all of them, on their set of tyres. I'm really confused, changing the subject, I'm really confused by Tesla's strategy. Why would you do 16 laps on the mediums just to do 11 laps on a set of hard tyres? Like, he's a much better driver than me, but that makes completely no sense from my point of view.
No strategical sense, no. If he wanted to go on the hard, surely he would have pitted 4 or 5 laps before, because the hards would have got to the end from about lap 5, lap 6. So I did get a bit confused there as well, but maybe he didn't read the data much on the tyres as well. And sometimes Jeff tells you to do something else, but obviously we're a bit smarter than Jeff and the way we manage our tyres. So we've got Bogan, who's on at the soft compounded tyres, and I think Sergio does the same. So that just leaves Matthew Roberts then out on his own on track as the race leader at the moment. But I'm sure Morgan Ball will be catching up anytime soon. So it's Morgan Ball, your net race leader, with Drake Dempsey in second place. And if things stay as they are, McLaren will be the Constructors' Champion for PC Tier 2 season. I can't remember what season it is. Season 12, there we go. And there's been so many seasons at WOR, it's hard to count at this moment in time. Look at that DRS train at the moment. It won't be that long before Jay will catch up to potentially Paso 5.9 seconds. I'm not entirely sure how much seconds they gain at the moment. Here comes Drake Dempsey once again. He gets past Morgan Ball. This is pretty much a Jeddah situation. You want to have the DRS going in towards turn 8. Get the move done quite comfortably, and then you got the race lead. But I'm not seeing Morgan Ball challenge Drake Dempsey heading towards turn 10 there compared to everybody else. So, yeah, they're definitely playing the team game now, trying to make sure they keep everybody else behind. But we're in for a great last 9 or 8 laps or so. So watch this space. Anything can happen, and it usually does. And we still yet to see what Matthew Roberts can do on the softs as well. I'm a bit amused as to why Matthew Roberts decided not to pit yet. Maybe, like you said, he doesn't care where he finishes. He maybe wants to go for glory and go for fast lap at the end.
I think he knows now his chances of getting the points are going to be basically slim to none, unless there is a safety car. He could well carry on until lap number 26, the Alex Albon strat that we saw at Australia. Just carry on until the end. I mean, if there's a safety car on this lap for whatever reason, he's going to get quite a cheap pit stop, you know. Might come out quite behind a few of these drivers, but would it be too bad of a situation as Eduardo Hill retires from the race? And Eduardo Hill heads into the pits, and I think I actually saw him leave the session then, so he's effectively out of this race. Effectively only 12 runners. Drake and Morgan, if they keep swapping around every lap, Drake wins this race. Morgan's staying a lot further back this time and doesn't look too bothered than going for the moves. Now's the chess going to start. Now this is where the tactical battles with all these drivers, as if swinging it around on all their sims inches away from the car ahead of him, never quite sure what the driver in front of him is going to do, isn't hard enough. You've now really got to be thinking about what is the best thing to do. You've got to have that spare mental capacity to think about all the different situations that can happen. Drake leads this race effectively, Morgan in an effective second, and then Marcus Towler and Matteo Longe, who's been accused of weaving on the straight there by Jona Martins. That's what led to the incident that we saw with the retirement for the Aston Martin. And let's not forget Sechova. He's still there on a set of hard tyres that are only going to get better and better compared to the mediums up ahead. Could he still make a few moves and maybe get a podium?
Well, we saw the likes of Bogan doing extremely well on lap 14 and 15 on those hard tyres, and was able to catch to Jay and to Taz as well. So maybe Satra did the right thing putting on these hard compounded tyres as Eduardo Gil unfortunately retires from the session as Matthew Roberts comes in to the pits. The last person to make a pit stop. So if he stayed out one more lap, he would have got a free pit stop.
Oh, Matthew, he's going to be absolutely kicking himself. He's going to be absolutely kicking himself at that one. If he'd have stayed out one lap longer, would have got that free pit stop. Well, this really makes things interesting. This allows Jay to close right up onto the back of everyone with their fresh set of soft tyres. What do you do now if you're leading this race? Do you go for a set of the soft tyres? Because the field is not that spread out. You will lose plenty of places. Or do you just try and stay out there on your mediums, which are quite second-hand and will struggle with the tyre warm-up? This is going to be very intriguing indeed. That safety car caused by Eduardo Gil retiring out on track. I thought he'd already left the session. Looked like a bit of a strange place for the car to retire, but yeah, this is going to be intriguing. Matthew Roberts has got the best tyres out of everyone. It's a shame for him. He's at the back of the field. The 3 drivers ahead of him have time penalties, so he's got a chance of getting points here. Jay also. Any worries he had about tyre life now go completely out the window. and he can really close up to everyone. It's going to be a fascinating final 5 laps, I think, once the safety car comes in.
Well, I've been in exactly the same situation, I believe, I think it was a few nights ago, in a race as well, where there was a safety car towards the end of the race, and there was no point me pitting. There was literally no point. Actually, it was last night. There was no point me pitting for fresh softs, because if I did pit for fresh softs, it'll be hard to overtake around this track, so I had to stay out on worn tyres. They're all coming in. They're all coming in. The ones, even Jay and Sergio are pitting. I don't know why they're pitting, to be honest, but they want to be on fresh rubber, which is fair enough. And this is Matthew Roberts has pulled a blinder. We thought he was going to be extremely unlucky, but he's definitely not. We'll see. And Bogan stays out. Is Matthew Roberts going to be ahead of these guys? Not quite. Oh, he's going to be in second. He's going to be in second. He is your net race leader because he's got no penalties. This is amazing. And unfortunately, the ones who I'm a bit confused as to why the ones who are on the soft went into the pits, but there we go. But I think Matthew Roberts' strategy is probably the best one out the lot. Sometimes luck plays an important part in this sport, but you got to have the pace. Let's see if Matthew Roberts has the pace, because he is the favourite to be winning this race, but everyone else behind him is going to be on the fresher tyres. And Dark Killer, also known as Ryan Jakes in the chat, is hoping Matthew Roberts is going to win. Well, let's hope, for Dark Killer's sake, that Dark Killer doesn't pull off a jinx on him, to be honest, because I don't think Matthew Roberts was expecting that.
I don't think I was expecting that, to be honest. I'm a bit surprised that Jay has come into the pits, but yeah, Dark Killer Brian Jacobs has got this right at the moment by suggesting, that Matthew Roberts is going to end up winning this race. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think any of us really saw that one coming, and this has all started from that safety car. Of course, Eduardo Hill retiring, by the looks of things, retiring out on track. Matthew Roberts now leading this race. This is why you don't give up, ladies and gentlemen. He was sort of marooned on his own from lap 3, has just kept it round, doing his own thing. Yes, if it had stayed out, he'd be probably leading out on track, but he's not too bothered. He's still got some extremely good tyres at the moment. We've just got to see if he can hold on to this one. Bogan as well stayed out there to try and obviously gain track position. And I thought Jay might have thought about staying out, even though his soft tyres were a bit older. I'm surprised he didn't think about staying out there on track. Safety car is going to stay out one more lap. We are going to have, by the looks of things then, a 4-lap sprint to decide who wins this race. Biggest winner, biggest loser, I should say, sorry, Morgan Ball, down towards 8th place. What's this? Leonard coming into the pits. That'll be to serve one of his 5-second penalties.
If you do have a 5-second penalty and you're near the back, if I were you, I would come in and serve it, to be honest, because otherwise it's going to be added to the end and you're going to lose so much time. So Leonard doing the right thing, and we've seen how Leonard can overtake quite easy around here. So there we go. He's going to be waiting for a few seconds. 2, 1, and go. Soft tyres he goes, and he comes out in last. And it won't be too long before he catches up to the rest of the pack anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem for him because he's able to go at full pace whilst catching up to the safety car queue then. So we've got quite a bit of support in the chat for Matt. We've got Matthew Roberts fan club in the chat. And we also got Nobo, who's supporting Drake Dempsey in the chat as well. So let's see who we got. So we've got Sobby Cop rooting for Matt. We've got George rooting for Matt as well. George has actually moved over to the PC side recently as well. I'm not sure when he's making his PC debut, if he hasn't already. Best of luck to him as well, because I've seen his tweet on Twitter, him downloading the F1 2021 game. That is great to see. It's nice to see more of the console people moving over to the PC side in the F1 esports world as well, which is great to see. So I'm not going to put my money on anyone. I'm just going to let the drivers drive and enjoy these final 4 laps. The safety car is in. Literally any one of these top 12 could win this race, except if you got a time penalty. If you've got a time penalty, you're buggered.
Yeah, basically, if you've got a time penalty, you're fighting for that final points place at the moment. Unless there's any incidents, unless there's some more time penalties. Leonard, I think he's going to say, well, that 5-second penalty that I've served was one for the speeding penalty. Can I have the 5-second one for the severe collision removed? Who knows? He might get a good result, but he is at the back of the field at the moment. Bogan He's going to be the one struggling a bit more. He's slightly going to be struggling on tyre warm-up at the moment. He's taking it quite slow, maybe, to try and catch some of these other drivers out. DRS is going to get activated for the final 2 laps of this race. I cannot wait to see how this one is going to go, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are going to be in for a barnstorming finale to this race. Matthew Roberts, at the moment, looks as though he's got a possibility of winning it. Has Bogan gone? I think he sort of half went down, but didn't really get the best run. Now he's gone for it. Now he's trying to go, and it looks like he's got as good of a restart as he could got. There's absolute chaos going off in the background. Camille Sachora trying to get alongside Marcus Towler here. We're almost going 3 wide towards turn number 1, but it is Bogan staying in the lead in this race. Roberts in second. Dempsey, Towler, Sachora, Ball getting ahead of Longe there. Morgan Ball, of course, losing out massively in all of this. And now Pesso's trying to go round the outside of Longe into turn number 3 and 4. Longe gets a time penalty. Any chance he had of getting a good result in this race has truly gone out of that window. But Bogan, he did what he could there to try and get a good restart. It has sort of worked out for him. Drake Dempsey's got a fantastic run coming out of turn number 7 onto the back of Matthew Roberts with no DRS and with everyone having plenty of ERS. Can't do anything at this moment in time. And Pesso all over the back of Longe as well, down the inside into turn number 8. Goes the Alpha Tauri. Fighting for all his worth at the moment is Longe. Pesso having to go off the track there, and they're still going to be side by side. This could get interesting into turn number 10. This could get very close into Sinez. Either of them going to yield. No, able to make it side by side there. I think Longe just going to be able to stay ahead for now. Bogan, Roberts, Dempsey, your top 3. It's going to be intriguing.
Yeah, it is as well, and Drake Dempsey is very, very keen to get past Matthew Roberts because this is effectively the win for this race because Bogan has not been able to pull away from these 2, and on lap 26, that is when the DRS will be enabled, and I'm sure Drake Dempsey will be a lot quicker in terms of pace. Drake Dempsey was quickest in qualifying as Matthew Roberts got passed by Drake Dempsey at the start-finish straight, but can he cover him off? Heading towards turn number 1. Nope, he cannot at the moment. He's been forced to yield at the moment, which, to be fair, he would prefer to get a 3rd place than try and get a 2nd place or win and fight for it and then go into a wall. So he's playing conservative at the moment, or maybe he wants the DRS on lap 26, so good tactics right now, but he'll potentially have the DRS anyway because Drake Dempsey will be behind him as well. But look at Drake Dempsey, who's all over the back of Bogan at the moment. Terry Longe has got a time penalty, and look at that. Drake Dempsey's straight line speed compared to everybody else is impeccable at the moment. Matthew Roberts is going to play a back seat in this battle. Drake Dempsey is your race leader at the moment, and he's putting 1 step on that championship at the moment if he keeps it up. Pesso has a time penalty at the moment. And we can see Marcus Towler, maybe he can try and stretch it to go for a move on Matthew Roberts, maybe to go for the final podium spots. We don't know. It's pretty much a 6-way car, 5-way car fight for a battle for the podium then. Who's going to do it? We don't know at this point, but I have to say, this is shaping up to be a final couple of laps that you don't really want to miss at the moment. And, well, we're seeing Sergio trying to get past Leonard at the moment for 10th. He's not getting some ground, but he would have probably lost out anyway as he's already got a time penalty as Matthew Roberts gets past Bogan in towards the final corner then, but Bogan may want the DRS as we head towards turn number 1 then. He's got a brilliant run then, heading towards the straight. Oh, they almost touched a little bit there. That was close. DRS is enabled for the final 2 laps. It's time to get racing, and Drake Dempsey is having a time of his life. He's saying, you keep battling, I'll just stretch that gap.
This is looking a bit more like touring cars all of a sudden here. Drivers are picking up penalties left, right and centre. I was just about to say the man who's really getting his pit stop was Jay Vahahe because he had no penalties and was doing, Bogan's been able to hold on quite well on his older soft tyres. Jay's now down in 9th and has got a time penalty. That hasn't worked out for him. The Alfa Romeos have been picking up penalties left, right and centre since the safety car came in as Bogan looks as though he's going to go for a move on Matthew Roberts, not able to make it work. And in fact, Marcus Towler manages to get ahead of Bogan then. Bit of a poor exit though from Marcus. That might allow Bogan to fight back. And you've also got Stajova and Morgan Ball going for it in the background. Morgan dies in one way and then the other. Not quite sure what's the best thing to do. This is just allowing Drake Dempsey to escape at the moment. He's got a 1.6 second lead. Surely the American is going to take the victory of this race. Answers on a postcard, ladies and gentlemen, as to who's going to finish in second.
Yes, we're still having Satra and Boga going side by side in towards turn 12. They're almost going wide a little bit as well. Morgan Ball wanting a piece of the action as well as we're about to head towards the final lap of this French Grand Prix as Satra's gone round. Satra has gone round and he's now in last place. What a shame, he was doing so well and he's probably going to retire from now. Look at that gap that Drake Dempsey is stretching at the moment. 2.1 seconds over Matthew Roberts, but Matthew Roberts is already under pressure from Marcus Towler, a man who hasn't played the F1 game in WOR for absolutely ages. It will be amazing to get his first podium of the season. These two are fighting pretty much for their lives at the moment, but they haven't got any penalties. They've got the podium secure, to be honest. It's between themselves and Morgan Bull for the final spot, and Morgan Bull is trying to chase down Bogan for P4, which is easier said than done. Marcus Towler, can he try and get past Matthew Roberts heading towards turn 8? Yes, he can. He made it look very, very easy at the moment there, and it almost looked like Matthew Roberts was doing a bit of porpoising now on the straight, even though porpoising is not on the F1 2021 game. I wonder if it's going to be on the F1 22 game. I don't have a clue, to be honest. But anyway, Leonard has gone off there as well, so he's having a bit of trouble. Satra has retired in turn 2. Taz is trying to make a move past Sergio Sabrina up into P9. We also got Jay Verhaar trying to make ground up into P7, and he's got past Peso. There we go. What a move from him. But let's go on board with your race leader, potentially going to be race winner. Well, he's driven faultless all day. Look at that gap he's pulled since that safety car. He's been absolutely incredible at the moment. He's going to run up to the line. He can celebrate early if he wants to. Drake Dempsey wins in front. It's redemption day for him. Marcus Towler goes at a season best P2. Fantastic. Matthew Roberts from last to P3. I have to say, one of my drivers of the day for me. I know he got lucky, but it shows that you don't give up in league race because you get races like that. Morgan Ball in 4th. Bogan in 5th. Jay somehow finishes in 6th. Great result from him, but what could have been if he stayed out? But what a finale there as well. Does that secure the constructors for McLaren, or do they have to wait one more week with Morgan Ball finishing in 4th?
They've done it. They've done it. Comfortably, I think, done it in the end there with Drake taking the victory. So yeah, congratulations to McLaren on the constructors, and congratulations to Drake Dempsey on taking the victory. He's got ahead of his teammate. He's now just 2 points off the lead of the championship. There's only 7 points separating the top 3 going into the final 2 races. Great job by Marcus Towler to get the second place as well. He's by far his best result. And Matthew Roberts, take a bow. He did not expect that after qualifying. Didn't set a lap in qualifying. Ends up on the podium.
Well, and he matches what Harvey did last week. Harvey got a P3 as well, so they're pretty much 1-1 at the moment in terms of their little battle as well. I wonder if they'll be racing together one week. We will see. So we will go through your results, your provisional results, of course, before the stewards come into play. So the American Drake Dempsey wins the race quite comfortably over Marcus Towler. And guess what? He got the fastest lap to boot. So great to see. Not quite the Grand Slam because he didn't get pole. He got second. So we've got Marcus Towler in P2, Matthew Roberts 3rd, Morgan Ball 4th, Bogan 5th, Jay Verhaar in 6th, Taz in 7th, Matteo Longa in 8th, Sergio Sabrina in 9th, and we've got Peso that rounds up your final point scores. We've got Leonard and Stachua that are classified at 11th and 12th. Then your retirements are Eduardo Gil, Jonah Martins, F1 legend, Fritzen and Andrew. Didn't even make it past turn 2 there. I really, really enjoyed that race, and I kind of wish we didn't have a break week next week because we have to wait even longer for the championship to conclude, and I can't wait to see who's going to claim that title. The constructors are done. Now Drake Dempsey and Morgan Ball and Lenny Papinto have got to do is focus on the drivers.
Yeah, just got to focus on the drivers' championship now. For those, that's going to be the thing. But I'm just focusing on the drivers. We saw how feisty things got towards the end of that race. It was quite a messy race after the safety car. Became like a set 4-lap sprint all of a sudden, so perhaps unsurprising. There was a bit of contact, and the 2 races that are left, Silverstone and Interlagos, always seem to have brilliant action to Britain and Brazil. Cannot wait to see what the final couple of races are going to lead here. Lenny Papinto still just leads for championship. You've got to say, though, he's got a decision to make now. Does he race in Tier 1 when he gets the opportunity? Or does he stay in Tier 2 for the final 2 races? Because I don't think he can afford to miss another one.
No, be calm. I'm sure almost certain the coordinators will be considering that when it comes to the championship battle. I wonder if Lenny just wants a chance to show what he could do in the higher tiers as well. But we will see. I'm really looking forward to this at this moment in time. We've got 2 people waiting in the interview room, P1 and P2 respectively. So we're going to be speaking to them at the moment. May as well get our race winner in at the interview room. Drake Dempsey, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Drake Dempsey, massive congratulations on that race win there. You did the right strategy as well, and you were able to pull a comfortable gap after the safety car. This is redemption week for you, isn't it?
Hell yeah, it's back. We're back, baby. Not gonna stop too. This is not the end.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you also won the constructors with your teammate Morgan Bull as well. Tell me how important having a good teammate is for you to help to win that.
Yeah, me and Morgan have been cooperating all season. It's been great. The chemistry has been amazing, and probably one of the best teammates I've ever had in league racing. So, great thanks to him, and unlucky to him for today. We deserved the 1-2, but it just didn't work out that way, unfortunately. Happens, but he did great to pull through and get P4 still. So, respect.
Who knows? Maybe you can get a P1 and 2 respectively in a few weeks' time potentially as well. Talk us through the battles that you were having with Morgan Bull, because I thought there was going to be some team orders there as well. What were your tactics when you were going through turn 7 and turn 8 each time?
We were just trying to switch back and keep a good gap behind and stay safe. We were communicating, and it was planned, so we weren't battling at all. We were just trying to keep safe and do good and help out each other and not let anyone else threaten behind.
I knew you were probably going to do that as well, because it looks like you weren't pushing too much as well, because I think you were concentrating on the constructors battle as well. Going into the last 2 rounds actually, out of the final 2 races, what would you say is your strongest track?
I like these last 2 tracks a lot. Britain and Brazil, is that correct?
I need to double check. Yes, it is Britain and Brazil, I believe. So I'm not sure it's in that order. Yeah, it is that order. I got it right.
Britain
So
and Brazil in that order, I think. But yeah, I mean, those tracks are very good tracks. In my opinion, just good battling. Both those tracks. I mean, I like both of them, and I've done good at them in the past. So I believe I could, the 1 point gap in the championship going into the final 2 rounds, I believe it will be close. But I think I can pull it off if I put my cards down on the table. No, with nothing to lose. So
yes,
we do these, and then we take these victories, and we do better than we even did.
Luke, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Firstly, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the Constructors' Championship. You said you've worked very well with Morgan Ball over the season, and that's proven by the standings. How well do you think you'll be working together in the final 2 races now that the Constructors is settled?
That's a good question. I think that'll leave it up to the finishing result.
Oh.
But I think we can still work together and help out each other no matter what. Seeing that we're still teammates, that doesn't change the fact that we won the Constructors, which has been a very, very good season in the standings say so when we won it 2 rounds early. It's been great cooperation, and I don't think that'll change. I think we'll still try to help each other out, but I do believe that you'll see more battling between us.
Yeah, I think it's going to make for an entertaining final couple of races. So congratulations once more on the win today.
Thank you.
So that was Drake Dempsey then, your P1 in the French Grand Prix. And now we go to a man who probably wasn't expecting P2 in this race, let alone a podium. So here we go with Marcus Towler. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Marcus, a massive well done there on at that podium spot as well. You were fighting for your life in this final few laps as well. Were you expecting that coming into this French Grand Prix?
I mean, pace in practice looked very promising, but no, I did not expect that at all after qualifying on the 5th row.
Yeah, and probably that late safety car helped you as well. But talk us about the battles that you were having earlier on before the safety car appeared as well. It looks like you're battling with the Alphas as well and a few Alpines as well. Were you a bit worried that you're going to lose ground between them when your tyres were going to drop off?
No, I mean, yeah, there was some battles, I mean, some overtakes that I just knew were crucial and just had to be made. And so I made them, and then just playing the DRS game basically until that late safety car, of course, helping the entire field basically. But yeah, just playing that DRS game, and then yeah, just overall really nice pace.
And during that late safety car as well, with people getting penalties left, right and centre, when did you know that you're possibly going to get a podium, or were you just focusing on the cars in front of you?
I mean, I always knew podium was within a range when I was in that DRS train, basically, with the two McLarens. But I was actually running on 2 warnings since lap 10, I think. So
Jeez.
I was extremely cautious throughout the whole race, but I just knew that I just had to send it to secure the podium.
A Daniel Ricciardo send it. That's what I like to hear at the moment. And like we said, we've got the final 2 rounds of, we've got, I'm trying to remember the final 2 rounds. I just said it, Britain and Brazil. Out of those 2 tracks, if you are going to race with us, what would you say is your strongest track out of the 2?
Definitely Brazil. Silverstone hasn't been a very favorable track for me, but yeah, I'll put in just as much work as I did put into to this race, and hopefully we can get more podiums.
Brilliant, that is fantastic to hear. Luke, do you have any questions?
No more questions from me.
Brilliant, then we'll let you go and celebrate there. And if you are racing in a couple of weeks' time, best of luck, or you can put your feet up, it's up to you. Marcus Towler, congratulations, P2 in the French Grand Prix.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, it was P2 or P3, I can't remember. But anyway, that was the French Grand Prix done and dusted as well. Probably a result which we did not see coming at this moment in time. And to be honest, I kind of like results like that, where you have unexpected results. Sometimes France does like that. And I have to agree with you, what you said, Luke, at the beginning. French Grand Prix in league racing, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, always seems to deliver, and in the end, it kind of was. I suppose you could say the alternate strategy that worked out, obviously for Matthew Roberts, just going that bit longer, being able to take advantage of the safety car. I imagine Bogan's thinking as well. He also started on the hard tyres. What if I'd have gone slightly longer? Of course, he did pit. He was the only driver not to pit, and in the end, things worked out for him. Yeah, McLaren on top. Drake Dempsey back on form now. So close. 7 points between all 3 at the top of the standings, heading into Silverstone in 2 weeks' time. I think they'll be putting in plenty of practice. They'll be wanting to make sure around Silverstone and Brazil that they've got things clean. They're probably going to have to practice for the wet weather. We've seen plenty of that at those 2 circuits over the years. Cannot wait for this championship. This is going to be so superb to watch. You are not going to want to miss the final 2 races of Tier 2.
I know Tier 1 is going to be epic. I'm sure Tier 2 is going to be even more epic, so make sure you stay tuned in 2 weeks' time. And if you're wondering why there's no race next week, well, it's the Miami Grand Prix, and obviously everybody, including myself and Luke, would want to watch that because it starts at 8:30 and it would have clashed otherwise. So we can put our feet up and watch that, and then the drivers will be back racing in a few weeks' time for the British Grand Prix. But there's some more action in WOR this week. Of course, we've got Xbox Tier 1 on Monday night. We've got the Xbox lower tiers throughout the week on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And we've got PS Tier 1 on Friday at 8 p.m. And then, of course, we've got the top tiers in 2 weeks' time. So the British Grand Prix action pretty much kicks off with Xbox Tier 1. So they'll be starting the action more other than us that next time, which was going to be quite interesting to see as well. But we will let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Make sure you check out our sponsors, SimStaff and Grid Rival. We do have a fantasy league with Grid Rival, so thank you very much to all of their support with us. Also check us out on Twitter at WOR League, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. Have a good evening. We will see you same time in 2 weeks for the British Grand Prix. Goodbye.
On his debut, Jarno Opmeer wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron Hart takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a 2-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Around the outside straight line. Shadow is contact again. Rodha is around.
Melody, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.